On today's show, the LA Clippers signed Ben Simmons. And since the last time I spoke, have lost a couple of players as well. We're back, baby. I'm back, baby. On today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and still in my 20th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod and subscribe to Dime Dropper on YouTube for all things LA sports and LA Clippers. And of course, this channel, Locked On Clippers, that is officially back and kicking with your boy 5 days a week. Now, before we address anything about me, why I've been gone, the team, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And of course, sign up for the Locked On Clippers daily newsletter at lockedondaily.com. Now, oh man, Clipper Nation, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about Ben Simmons. He is the newest Clipper. What I think of the move, what the worst and best case scenarios are with this move, and of course, the obvious elephant in the room, why I've been gone for so long and what's going on with this show. But let's begin with Ben Simmons, the newest Clipper, the former #1 overall pick from LSU in 2016. It's funny that he's playing with James Harden now because he was traded for James Harden from Philadelphia to Brooklyn. It's been a very, very up and down road for Ben Simmons with more downs than ups ever since the famous Game 7 in 2021 against the Atlanta Hawks, where he famously didn't put up that layup, was laughed out of Philly, and he's been injured ever since. It's been back issues. It's just, and the way I see it is this. I'll be talking about it more on the next episode of Locked On Clippers, but we gave up Kevin Porter Jr. Some might be saying, I bet you're happy. I kind of am. KPJ wasn't necessarily bad this season, but there was a lot of negative with him. There was the constant ball pounding, and we already have Harden dribbling a ton. We have Kevin Porter Jr. dribbling a ton, but not doing all the great stuff that James Harden does. And I thought that even though he was the guy who was kind of leading the offensive charge in that second unit, I felt as though his game, his lows were just too low. His defense was actually better than I expected, but offensively, he kind of just thought he was better than he was and hijacked the offense and ended up taking a lot of tough mid-ranges, tough contested shots, and had tunnel vision, and it just felt like the offense would stagnate with the ball in his hands, which made me think that if we want to actually win a playoff series, he's not the guy. So we made a move. We got rid of KPJ, but Ben Simmons, we got off of the buyout with Brooklyn. Now, the terms of the deal haven't been disclosed, but he is the newest Clipper. In my opinion, it's worth the swing, and here's why. Ben Simmons, his days of being an all-star are long gone. Unfortunately, he has kind of just lost his confidence as a player of that caliber. Honestly, as an NBA player, he's lost his confidence as an NBA player. He still has some ability. That's why he's still in the league, but he doesn't think he's that guy anymore. He doesn't think he's him anymore. Like, he barely looks at the basket. Mind you, this dude is 6'10" with a handle. Like, I'm not saying like with a full-on bag, like he's going to cross you up, get to the rim, but he can push the ball in transition. He's got a pretty tight handle for a guy his size, and he's got great court vision. So that person has kind of just become a taller, old Rajon Rondo. And what I mean by that is a guy that does not look at the basket. He's always looking to pass to the point where the defense knows he's looking to pass, but that's why he's not the old Ben Simmons anymore. He's still a guy that can pass. He's still a guy that can push the ball, that can initiate your offense, and most importantly, that can defend. In my opinion, in 2021, his best attribute to the Sixers wasn't even his playmaking and his passing. It was his defending. He was becoming an all NBA defender, which I believe he was. Now, if we look at Ben Simmons' resume at this stage of his career, because remember, this is a guy that was destined for great things. And I'm telling you as Clipper fans that I don't think he is going to be great. Like, he's not going to be some star reviving his career. In my opinion, maybe he can revive his career by being a good player on a good team. Because the Brooklyn Nets, like, let's look at it, right? Since the trade for Harden, he didn't even touch the floor that year that the trade happened, right? Harden was traded to the Sixers. Actually, no. Yes, no. Harden was traded to the Sixers in the 2021-22 season. So Ben Simmons, he didn't actually play a game for the Nets that season. He played 42 games the following season and started 33 of them and averaged 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists on 57% shooting, but shot just 6 shots a game in 26 minutes a game. So you go from a guy who's averaging double figures in the first 4 years of his career with the Philadelphia 76ers to a guy who's now averaging half of his previous average before all these injuries occurred. So 7 points a game, so half of the amount of points he used to average with 6 less minutes. And my thing is he just doesn't look to be aggressive anymore. He doesn't really look at the basket. So that's going to be kind of annoying. And then last season, only 15 games played. 15. So 42, basically half of the season the previous year, 15 in 2024. But my biggest takeaway is it's worth the swing, and I'd rather have the swing on Ben Simmons than Kevin Porter. And the reason why is because I don't feel as though Ben Simmons is going to try to bite off more than he can chew. If anything, he's going to be too hesitant, which is going to be annoying in its own way. I think some people call that unselfishness or being too unselfish, but I don't view it as that. I think it's honestly being scared, and that hurts your team. That's not the most unselfish thing. What you need to do is keep the defense honest, because otherwise it's going to be annoying playing with someone like that. You have to keep the defense honest. But I would rather have that in this role. If I'm talking about a superstar player, I would obviously rather have them be aggressive than passive. But if I'm talking about a backup point guard, yes, we did ask Kevin Porter Jr. to kind of lead that second unit at times. But with Kawhi back, we have Norm, we have Kawhi, we have James, and of course Zoo, who I constantly, and I'm going to talk about more during the week, the amount of games that we just do not feed this guy enough when he's going off is ridiculous. So to me, we don't really need another guy hijacking the offense. I think we just kind of have to be deliberate with the guys that we have and really lean into those guys. And I also just think it's not about Kevin Porter Jr. and it's not about having less options offensively, because you want to have more options ideally, but it's just the way Kevin Porter Jr. didn't understand time and score. To me, the biggest evaluation I have of a basketball player is, do you understand your role, what's needed in the moment, and can you do said things on the court? You can understand what you need to do, but can you do it? Those are the best players of all time to me, who understand the moment and can do anything they want on the floor to dictate those moments. Now, you're not going to get that from a backup, but Kevin Porter just didn't understand time and place for his role, in my opinion. And I think it's good to get rid of him. We have James Harden, who already, he's an efficient, the efficient shot generator, but our offense is very stagnant led by him, especially when he gets very ISO heavy. So I think it's nicer to have someone like Ben Simmons who's going to look to push the ball and just give it up. So to me, it's worth the swing on Ben because he's going to add to our defensive identity, give us even more athleticism than, say, Kevin Porter once did, push the pace, and hopefully that will help. And the biggest thing too is Ty Lue's really starting to lean into the small ball stuff, and we know he wants to lean into that. And Ben Simmons is going to be really good to be like a small ball 5. We can throw out lineups now with Kawhi, with Ben Simmons, with Nico Batum, and, these guys all in one lineup that can switch everything. So for me, moral of the story, it's worth the swing. I'd rather have him than KPJ. I don't believe it's something that's going to take us from, we're a first-round exit to now we're a second-round exit. I don't think it's a needle mover, but I think it could really help us. Now, coming up, I'm going to be talking about the worst-case scenario and the best-case scenario with this move. It's good to be back, Clipper Nation. Catch you on the flip side. I got to tell you a little something about Skims. When I found out Skims was making underwear for men, I was absolutely shocked. And here's the thing about Skims. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try. And let me tell you, it lives up to the hype. I've always had issues with underwear, fit, comfort, or just finding the right style for me. Skims changed all that. Their men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. I tried the Skims boxer brief and I'm hooked. These are perfect for my active lifestyle. They move with me, never lose their shape, and stay in place all day. Whether I'm working out, playing ball, or just running errands, they're the most comfortable and reliable underwear I've ever owned. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com and Skims stores. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. And if you were looking for the perfect gift for your Valentine or for yourself, Skims just launched their best Valentine's shop ever. Available in sizes for women, men, kids, and even pets. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Clippers having signed Ben Simmons, and he will wear number 25 again, like he did with the Philadelphia 76ers. Ben Simmons this year, he has played 33 games for the Brooklyn Nets. He's been healthier than in any other season with Brooklyn. He's averaging 25 minutes a game. He shoots 5 shots a game and averages 6 points, 5 rebounds, and honestly, the most impressive one is 7 assists. 6, 5, and 7, a good old-fashioned triple single. 3 turnovers, though. I bet you a ton of those are because he's not looking at the basket and he's just playing, telegraphing the pass at times. But he shoots 55% from the field because I'm guessing all his shots around the basket are like layups and stuff like that. Does not shoot threes, averages 0 attempts on the season, and shoots 69% from the foul line, which is actually a career high for him. So shooting is not Ben Simmons' thing. And I'll tell you, the Clippers do need some shooting sometimes, looking at this team. And that's why they did bring in Bogdanovich, who we'll talk about on the Tuesday episode. And yes, I know a lot of people are wondering, your favorite player got traded. Terrence Mann, your favorite player got traded. Absolutely. And again, there's just so much to talk about. Like I literally haven't talked to you guys in over a month. We've gone 9-7 since my last episode against the Minnesota Timberwolves. 9-7. So, about the pace we were at before I stopped. And, we've had some shaky performances of late, but we'll talk about the form of the Clippers later in the week. We still got a couple of days before the Memphis game. You'll probably be listening to this on Tuesday. So we got the Memphis game tomorrow, but there'll be another episode for Tuesday. But here's the thing about Ben Simmons, right? Worst case scenario, he's worse than KPJ. I've already talked about he's lost a lot of confidence. 5 shots a game, given his size and his age. The guy is not old by any means. He's literally 28 years old, and we're talking about him like he's 35. That's the problem with him, right? So he could just be... The thing is, the Nets traded him, and the Nets aren't even good. Now, granted, Tyronn Lue is the kind of guy who has revived certain guys' careers. And you look at the likes of Nico Batum, Reggie Jackson, these kinds of players. I could keep on going if I could sit down and think about it more. But he's found a way to get the most out of those guys. The Brooklyn Nets traded him. So maybe Ben Simmons is not good enough to be a part of a team that has aspirations to win playoff series. Just like what I said about Kevin Porter. I don't think Kevin Porter's not good enough to be in the league. I honestly think on a team like the Spurs, per se, if he was their backup point guard, that's fine. Go out there, get some buckets. I think he could be part of a team that makes the play-in or something, or even, I don't know about the playoffs outright. Maybe the play-in. At most, a first-round exit team he could be the backup for. But I think he could be a backup for a team that's not very good. Ben Simmons, he was on the team that's not very good, and he started 24 out of 33 games. So he started. So backup on a team that has aspirations to win a series, that's something that we really haven't seen him in that role yet, but he could just fail miserably because he doesn't look at the basket and he's just another guy that can't shoot out there, and adding another non-shooter to a team that Chris Dunn's been very suspect from three. You have Ivica Zubac, who's not a shooter. So maybe it can clog the paint, stagnate our offense even more, make us easier to guard. Then the best case scenario is Ben Simmons' defense just slides right in, it's an upgrade to an already great defensive team that's second in the league in defensive rating. You add another huge body out there with length and athleticism. You imagine the lineup with Ben Simmons, Chris Dunn. See, I don't know if you could play Simmons, Dunn, and Zubac in the same lineup. I think the spacing there is going to be bad. But Simmons, Dunn, Kawhi, Nico, and Derek, could you imagine that? Or even you replace Harden with Derek or something. Even though Harden's not the best defender, you have 5 guys that can switch, a lot of size out there. If you have Derek instead of Harden, imagine the bodies flying around. You got Ben Simmons with his 7-foot wingspan. You got the longest arms in Nico Batum. You got Kawhi Leonard. You got Chris Dunn flying all over the place. I mean, the possibilities defensively are going to make Jeff Van Gundy and Ty Lue salivate in terms of the switchability with that. Now, one thing I think that is a danger, not Ben Simmons, is that not being caused by Ben Simmons, but the fact that the best backup center we could get was Drew Eubanks, and the Phoenix Suns literally got rid of him because he wasn't good enough to be a backup for them, and they're in a similar kind of conversation as us, as they want to be a contender, and they're kind of just, for whatever reason or another, age, injuries, a bad trade, they're not able to do that, but their bigs aren't good. And Drew Eubanks is one of the reasons that their bigs weren't good. So we know that Drew Eubanks, who's, by the way, not been too bad these first 2 games, he's not going to be the backup on a championship team. And if the Clippers ideally, their front office, the way the team is thinking, they want Kawhi to be that guy, and we're back in the championship conversation. That's the way they should be looking at things. And that's the way I think they are looking at things. James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Norman Palisades, Zubac, you got a great core four. If you get Kawhi playing like last year's Kawhi, that was a second-team All-NBA player, you are back in the discussion for a chip, ideally, with all the defensive personnel you have around you. The weaknesses are we don't know about Ben Simmons off the bench, and we don't have a great backup big. So what scares me about that is, remember what we saw in 2023 when we didn't have a reliable backup? We had Moses Brown and Musa, and so we thought we could go the whole season playing small ball when Zoo was out, and that was a complete disaster, letting go of Hartenstein and playing small ball. So even though we have better personnel for that now, I still don't want this to be a situation where it's Zubac, and then when Zubac is out, it's small ball no matter what. We have no backup center, because there are going to be some backup centers that just beat us. I don't know if having Ben Simmons now means that, we can get away with the rest of the season and playoffs. When Zoo's out of the game, we just can go small with Ben Simmons and Nico Batum out there, and now we can switch everything. I think those will be great lineups situationally, but I don't think that we can exclusively, when Zoo's out, go small. But the best case scenario is he makes a huge difference with our small ball lineups. He really helps push the pace, adds a level of athleticism to us. Because you know what? Our offense is a little slow. And with Kawhi, that doesn't help make us faster. We have to work very hard, in my opinion, to get good shots in the half court. It's a lot of half court. It's very slow. And I don't think that helped Terrence Mann, quite frankly. And I think that'll be a good fit for him. But again, we'll talk about that later in the week. But Ben Simmons might be able to help us there, and I think the best case scenario is he just is a positive contributor that revives himself in a sense that he's a positive role player for a good team, and that's good what he's going to be the rest of his career. I don't see him getting back to star status or anything like that. I don't even see him getting back to starter status, but I do think this could be a move that ends up better than what Kevin Porter was for us, and I'm excited for the possibilities of it. Now, coming up, going to talk about things that are a little bit more serious, why I've been gone, and what my life and the future of this show looks like. Going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. For All-Star Weekend, our boy Norman Powell's participating, and he's plus plus 550, which is tied for third in the odds to win. I would honestly place my bet on him. Forget Damian Lillard, forget Buddy Hield, all these other guys. Norman Powell, catch and shoot. That's what he does. I think he's going to take it. I would place my bets on him. And I love FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right. So before I talk about myself a little bit, coming up later this week, tomorrow's episode, or should I say today's episode, later today, I will be talking about Terrence Mann leaving, what led to that, how I feel about it, the addition of Bogdanovich, the additions of Patty Mills and Drew Eubanks, what our rotation looks like now, and of course, the form of the team, how we're doing later in the week. And then we got the Memphis game, the Utah game, and we're back at it. I'll summarize the 16 games that I missed as best I can because you best believe I've still been watching. I still have not missed a game this season. I haven't actually missed a game this season. I've just watched some all possessions versions on League Pass, which is technically like not watching the full game. Let me know. Do you guys count that? All possessions version? Is that the same as watching the full game? Because it's a little bit, 3 to 4 possessions in the game will be skipped. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments, but it's going to be great to see comments again because, I mean, as people know, because I've done videos on Dime Dropper since. I've only done vlogs. I've not done pods. This is the first video I've done with a microphone since this all went down, but it's crazy. Going back to that week, I was talking about how this is one of the busiest months of my life. I'm coaching 6 teams. I have a back-to-back days of games on the 7th, 8th, and 9th of January. And it's crazy because on January 7th, which is my last episode, I woke up and I was woken like a day like any other, but my window flew open because of the wind. And I remember when the wind, because my room was pretty decent size in my house. When the wind blows the door open, like my door in, like my room door, not even the balcony door. I had a little balcony outside my room, but blows the door inside open because it was an older door. That's when I was like, whoa, it's windy. And the thing as an LA person that I always think about when it's really, really windy is, oh, damn, there might be a little brush fire. I have on game days, so I was working for my dad during the daytime. Cat's out of the bag. Like I'll open up more in a video on my own channel about all that. But I was working for my dad. That was my day job, right? But when I had game days for my middle school coaching, he would let me take the day off and rest because I just didn't sleep, as you all know. I always mention that. And like I finished recording at like noon. And from our balcony, we could see that a fire had broken out in the Palisades Highlands. And I was like, oh, damn, like some of the kids that I coach live in the Highlands. Like, I'm a little afraid. What if a house or two burns? And then the cloud of smoke starts building and we're like, yo, this is a little sus. We get an evacuation order for all of Palisades. You know, whether you're working there, you're living there, we all got an evacuation order. So I'm like, wow, like I've never been asked to evacuate my house, but I'm going to Sierra Canyon anyway. So we're going to go to a game. It's not going to matter. Meanwhile, the kids that I'm coaching are getting evacuated out of school. And I'm like, okay, do I pick them? I'm supposed to pick them up, but they're getting moved to another school. Are we still playing this game? That's what I was wondering. Are we still playing this game? And the school administration was like, yeah, you know, I don't see any reason why the game should be canceled. It'll be too hard to cancel. Mind you, some of the parents are like holding their kids out of the game because they're like, I don't know. I want my kids to be safe. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to drive them to Chatsworth. I want to go safe, you know, because they have to evacuate. The parents have to evacuate. And we don't have, we're a public school, so we don't have busing. So I'm like, do I have to pick up these kids? I wasn't even thinking about anything to take. I never in a million years thought my house could get burned down and that the fire would come down to the village in those areas of Palisades, right? And I went to my game, and then before the second game that I coached, I start seeing videos of Pali High on fire and areas in the lower Palisades area on fire, like the mainland by the village, you know? And I'm still thinking, like, it's not going to cross over Sunset Boulevard. Like, it's just not going to cross over Sunset Boulevard. And after my game is when I started, like, seeing all my calls and texts. When I stopped coaching, I'm looking at everything. I'm getting calls from my friends, people I haven't talked to in years, people from the East Coast from college, my family members. And I'm like, did this really happen to me? There's no way this happened to me. Like, I see it in movies all the time. People's houses burns. I see it on the news, but it's not going to happen to me. Like, it's not going to happen to me. And the rest of that night, I'm just watching the news. And, like, Palisades is just a neighborhood in between Santa Monica and Malibu. Just a very nice neighborhood. One of the nicest neighborhoods in LA. You know, you have houses there. Like, Kawhi freaking lives in Palisades. You have houses there that are $10 million. And then you also have the regular people that inherited the house from their parents or that bought the house when it was worth just under $1 million and now it's worth $4 million and they could never afford it now. You know, I know so many different families that live in Palisades. There's this whole stereotype that it's all rich people. That couldn't be further from the truth. At the end of the day, this is people. And to see a neighborhood that's not ever on national news, it's just a neighborhood on TV, my neighborhood that I walk around. You know, I moved to the Palisades we lived when we were 10 because my dad was able to get his office and his own office there. It burned down in the fire, as people know, but then we moved there. And I had never really gone to Palisades. I've been to Malibu, I've been to Brentwood, but I'd never been to Palisades like that. I mean, I had, but I didn't know what it was until I moved when I was 9. And it's such a beautiful community. And it's just unfathomable that this all occurred. And yeah, I woke up the next morning and I saw that my house was no longer there. But it's crazy because all my equipment, my green screen, it's almost like you guys got to see all my clothes over the years through the vlogs. I wore a different Clipper playoff shirt in almost every Locked On video I did. Every souvenir you saw me get from the games, all of this is gone. All of it. My Elton Brand jersey, my every Clipper jersey. I had such a collection, and I'm a sentimental dude, emotional ass freaking dude. I was such a collector of things. And for it all to be gone is like crazy to me. But like, that's the least of my worries. Like, I don't have a house. Like, the house that my parents worked so hard to raise kids in. Like, I feel so sorry for them. I feel so sorry for everybody this happened to. The people in Altadena, you know, I don't want to make it just about us. The people in Altadena. I don't give a damn if you're a school teacher, a cello instructor, if you're a kid that's never worked a day in their lives yet, or a guy that's, you know, a big shot producer. Losing your home, losing your family memories, having to be in this situation is like, feels like I'm living in a horror movie and I haven't woken up. I can't believe it. I'm so sorry to all of you. A month and 16 games worth of no content from me on this channel. I mean, I've done some vlogs, but you know, this will always be unfortunate looking back at my third year as Locked On Clippers host to have this big gap of no content because of this. I really apologize. You know, I know some people thought, am I not going to resume this show and stuff like that? But I'm not going anywhere. The Clippers mean everything to me, but, you know, I'm not a huge fan of the direction of the franchise right now. I can tell you that right now. I mean, not compared to Sterling, but you know what I mean. Everybody knows what I mean. I don't have to go further into that. And it's not like Kawhi is doing anything to change my opinion right now. But I do this for you, for the fans, and for myself, and being able to document, you know, each year as a Clipper fan. I think that's an amazing privilege that I have the opportunity of doing, and to build this community. I just want to give a shout out to all the fans who have donated their playoff shirts. I've gotten a lot replaced because of you. You know, all the kind words, the GoFundMe money. I mean, you guys raised $25,000 for me. It's just this community, this fan base is the most generous, loyal fan base that there is. And I think I'm an example of that. You're seeing what's happened to me, and the fans come through and show their appreciation for me. I mean, as I always say, like, you guys make it worthwhile for me. The only reason I still do this is because of you. I love the fans. I want to be a voice for the fans, and that's relatable. You know, I've been a fan my whole life. I'm never going to stop being a fan. And this sport is beautiful, and it unites us in many ways. And I'm just proud to be your host, and I'm not going any freaking where. And we're back, baby. We're fully back. I'm excited to talk more about the Clips, but I gotta be more respect. I gotta be a little respect for the people I'm living with right now. So I gotta get off the mic. But Locked On Clippers is back 5 days a week. To make sure you tune in to the newsletter at LockedOnDaily.com. Dime Dropper will also be back with episodes that are not just vlogs, with podcast episodes as well. So make sure you subscribe to Dime Dropper for more. And I think that's it. We'll be back on Tuesday to talk about the other trades and the state of the team. All right. The age-old you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers. I love you all, and thank you for the kind welcome back and being patient through all this.